Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm sharing no nonsense advice for navigating modern dating with confidence and ease, whether you've been on dozens of dates or you're just getting started. I believe dating can be fun, and we are jumping right in today. I have three dating dilemmas for you. The theme is lost in translation. The first one is about how to react when someone says they're into you but not ready to commit. Then we have one about having interest in someone you've already friend zoned. And the last one is about fielding confusing advice and reactions from friends when you tell them about your dates. As always, you can submit your dating and relationship dilemmas through the form in the show notes. You can also email me at datingintentionallypod@gmail.com if that is easier. And you'll always be anonymous if I read what you shared on the show. And thank you for sharing your stories, your questions with me, because what you're going through, someone else might be going through. And when you share it here, you are helping other people. So thank you. Here's the first one. I, 28 female, met a guy at the gym, 32 male, who happens to be a trainer. He introduced himself to me after we saw each other a few times. We instantly had a really good connection and chemistry, and we got along effortlessly. We've hung out at the gym a lot and work out together often, and we went out on an official date, but he told me that he just got out of a relationship and is still trying to process everything and move on. He says he has a lot of strong feelings for me and he knows he would fall hard, so he wants to take things slow. We ended up deciding to be friends because his situation is kind of messy and he isn't ready. Is this a red flag? It sucks because I really like him, but I don't know if he is just leading me on. I've had close girlfriends and guys tell me they think something is off because I'm a catch, and the fact that he is hesitating and not seeing a good thing in front of him seems like a red flag. Please help. Signed, Anonymous, please. So, this is a tough situation, and I understand why you're unsure how to proceed, why you're confused. It makes it even harder when you like them and there's a lot of chemistry and attraction. To sum this up, it sounds like you met this guy at the gym, you went on a date, he revealed that he was recently out of a relationship and in the process of healing, and then you decided to be friends. Now you're stuck wondering why he's hesitating when you are such a catch. To answer your first question about whether or not being friends is a red flag, I don't think it is here. It seems like this was a mutual decision from what you wrote, although obviously you wish you were dating because you still like him and you're a little hung up on the whole situation, which makes sense. To me, the real red flag or even deal breaker, honestly, is that he said he's not ready for a relationship because he's still processing his breakup. He told you this directly, it seems. So his decision to not pursue a romantic relationship with you has nothing to do with you at all. It's about his emotional and mental state and not wanting to get into another relationship with anyone while he's still healing from one that recently ended. The other red flag I picked up on, and I'm not sure if you picked up on this while listening, is that he said, I know I'm going to fall hard for you. That reads a little love bomby to me. I guess I interpret that as someone communicating that you're so great, you're such a wonderful person, but I need to hold myself back. Otherwise, I'm going to fall for you and I'm not ready. I don't know. It's a little dramatic. Listeners, I would love to know your reaction to this type of line in the comments. So if you're listening on Spotify, you can drop a comment below. You can DM me. You can leave a comment on YouTube. I would love to hear your take on that line. I'm going to fall really hard for you. Like, what does that mean? You also asked, is he leading you on? Maybe, but he might not know that he's doing it, or he might not be doing it on purpose. I think the real question is, do you want to keep pursuing someone who told you they're not ready to commit? I think some people who aren't ready to commit still want companionship or sex, and they will continue to get what they need from you while your needs go unmet if you let them, right? You are in control here. So if you pursue this, what could end up happening is that you're in a situationship where he is not able to commit to you, but you're still hooking up, you're still going on dates, and your need for commitment is going unmet. But again, you have to be the one to walk away from that situation, unfortunately. However, in this situation, it seems like he's aware of what he's going through and he's trying to not be the bad guy here. And he's like, hey, I'm not ready. I disagree with your friends on this one. And I know I'm just some random person on the internet, so take this with a grain of salt. But his desire to not pursue a committed relationship with you isn't about whether or not you're a catch, like I said before. You can see something really great in front of you and know your situation well enough to know that you're not ready to commit. So, what's your move here? My advice is to stay friends and mentally close the door on this romantic connection for now because there is no use in waiting until someone is ready to date you. I have a whole episode about when to walk versus when to wait. It is episode number 97 if you want to go back and listen to it. And in this case, you're better off moving forward and focusing on folks who are ready for the relationship you deserve. I get why you're feeling rejected in this situation, but I want to remind you that most of the time, rejection isn't about you. Don't take this one personally at all. Honestly, it's better this way because you don't want to get into a relationship with someone who is still hung up on their ex. That doesn't sound fun. If you're listening and this was your question, I hope that my answer helped. And if you have any updates on this or follow up thoughts, you can send me an email at datingintentionallypod@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. By the way, if you were listening to this on Spotify or Apple, it would mean a lot to me if you hit that follow button. It would mean even more to me if you left a rating or review of the podcast. Thank you so much. All right, here is the next question. I, 34 female, hooked up with a 30-year-old guy in the summer of 2022 while he was temporarily in my city. He said explicitly that he's not looking for a relationship. Then he moved to my city permanently and messaged me, "Hi, how's it going?" in March of last year. I didn't see the message because it was in my archive chats, but I ran into him in July. We did an awkward hi hello on the sidewalk, and when I looked up our chat on Instagram, I saw his message from earlier. It didn't seem like from the message that he was interested in dating, so I said, "I'm not doing casual, but let me know if you would like to be friends." He said he was in the same boat and he would like to be friends. I figured friendship was a safe way to find out if we would want to date each other. We ended up meeting in February of this year, 2024, along with a couple of my girlfriends. A week later, he sent it like on Hinge to one of my friends and she told me about it. Did I reject him implicitly by suggesting friendship? Is it insensitive of him to hit on my friend given our history? Was I too presumptuous about his lack of interest in dating me? Signed, confused dater. Thank you for sharing this, confused dater. You asked a few questions here and I wanted to break them down, but let's just sum up what happened. You hooked up with this guy 2 years ago. Last year, you reconnected when you ran into each other and agreed to be friends. This year, you hung out with him and your girlfriends, and then he liked one of your friends on Hinge. So let's address these questions first. Did I reject him implicitly by suggesting friendship? Well, I want to point out that you explicitly agreed to be friends. So this wasn't really implied. And yeah, I mean, you mutually agreed to friend zone each other from what this sounds like, even if maybe you wanted to explore a more romantic connection ultimately. You said you didn't want casual and you wanted to be friends. So he clearly took that to heart, which I think a lot of people would. My recommendation for the future for anyone listening is don't tell people let's just be friends if you maybe want to explore a relationship that's more romantic. We don't have all the details here, so I'm curious if other than this friend hang you mentioned, did you guys talk? Did you hang out? Or was that the only time you saw each other? So I feel like we're missing some pieces there, maybe, or not. And the next question you had is it insensitive of him to hit on my friend given our history? I don't think so. You hooked up with him 2 years ago, didn't really stay in touch based on what we know, and you're not actively dating him. So, no, your friends aren't off limits, especially because I guess of this version of what happened, you already decided to just be friends. And the last question, was I too presumptuous about his lack of interest in dating me? I'm going to be honest here. I don't know how interested you were in dating him. Like you haven't been signaling to him in any way that you're interested. And I do think you did make an assumption. He messaged you, "Hi, how are you?" And then your message back was, "I'm not interested in casual. Let's just be friends." So that it didn't seem like there was any conversation of like what you're both looking for. You kind of shut down the possibility of any kind of dating before it could even come up from what we know. This is hard without the full story, but I think while yes, I get why you're a confused dater, we also have to acknowledge that your actions have been confusing as well, or at least not aligned with what you really want. If a former hookup comes back into your life and you're interested in dating or seeing if there is still some kind of romantic connection, you can ask them on a date or tell them you think they're cute or hot or something to let them know you're still interested in them in that way. You can make an effort to see them in real life and have a conversation about what you're both looking for to see if you align before shutting it down. Don't friend zone them thinking a friendship will lead to romance. I know that the friends to relationship story is like very common, but you made a bet on it unfolding that way instead of just aligning your actions with what you want. I'm so curious to hear why you chose to say let's just be friends instead of let's meet for a drink when he slid into your DMs if you were interested in seeing if there was a connection or like if a possibility of dating. So if you're listening to this confused dater, Let me know what you think. You can reach out to me on Instagram at dating.intentionally or email me at datingintentionallypod@gmail.com. And remember, you have nothing to lose by going after what you really want. Okay, here's the last one. This one came from Instagram. Hey Talia, was just thinking a helpful topic for a post or on the pod would be how to handle feedback or negativity from friends and family during your intentional dating journey. I know you've said a lot of your friends were too protective of you, but I feel like I've had the opposite problem pretty much all year. One example of many. I shared a story recently with my mom and a friend about a gross sex joke someone made to me on date number two and how that made me not want to see him again. They both said it wasn't that bad and lots of guys do that. I know the easy answer is to not tell these people about my dates, but the idea that people even secretly think I'm too picky or never going to find someone really bums me out. And it makes me not trust their feedback. Like if I was in a worse situation, I feel like they wouldn't be on my side. Oof, thank you for sharing this with me and allowing me to share on the podcast. This is so frustrating and I really feel for you. I do believe most of the time our friends and family are a little overprotective when it comes to advice. Like that looks like jumping quickly to reasons why you shouldn't date someone who is perfectly nice or for some surface level reason. I know as a friend, I tend to be more overprotective or pointing out reasons why it won't work out early on. Unfortunately, I am right sometimes and sometimes I'm not. But I've since learned to keep my mouth shut and just ask questions instead of projecting all my shit onto my friend's situation. I think it's hard to give a friend good advice because you know them so well and you're like too close in a way. I'm going to share my thoughts on how a better way to respond when your friends tell you about their dating life. But let's get into this question first. I first want to remind everyone listening that you don't have to listen to everything that people say, including podcasters you listen to, like me, books you read from your friends, from your family. You know the situation best. If a comment felt wrong to you, then that's it. End of story. If it didn't sit right with you, that is not something to ignore, even when your friends tell you to brush it off. Remember, you are dating this person, not your friends or your family. So you need to feel okay about everything, not them. It doesn't matter if your friends feel okay with it, it matters if you feel okay with it. I think next time you have some options. One, you can talk about things in your dating life after you've made decisions and after things have happened. So I don't think the answer is to not tell your friends and family stuff about your dating life. I just think one option could be sharing experiences with people who are close to you after you've processed it and you know what you want to do moving forward without their input. Like, I called it off with him because he made this gross joke. And if they say, oh, that's not so bad, well, you just say, I thought it was. End of story. Two, you can say up front, I need to vent or I just want to share and I'm not looking for advice on what to do because I know what I want to do. My friends and I do this sometimes where we ask each other, do you just need a shoulder to lean on or do you want advice? And I even catch myself when I'm about to give feedback or advice and I do a quick review of what they said and realize, oh, they actually didn't ask for my advice. They're just sharing an experience and they want to be connected to me and understood by me and let me in on their inner world, which is great. I try to be a friend that trusts my friends, that, trust that they know what's best for them and they know they're going to do what's best for them. But I'm not perfect at it. I don't think anyone is. Another thing I wanted to say is that if you keep running into the same kind of conversation with these friends and your mom, then it might be time to set a boundary with yourself. That maybe you're just not going to talk to them about these early dating scenarios or ask for their thoughts on who you're dating or the decisions you're making anymore. You don't need your friends' approval for these decisions. Like some friends in your life just have different purposes, and maybe you have other friends or people in your life who are going to be more on your side. Finally, you said that you're worried that they think you're too picky or that you're going to end up alone. I'm wondering, have they said this to you outright? Because my first thought when I read this was maybe it's a projection that relates to your own fears about your situation rather than what your friends actually think of your dating life. But that could not be the case here if they have straight up told you they think that you're too picky, which is not a productive thing to tell a friend ever. Like, what are they going to say to that? Like, you're not going to change your friend's behavior by being like, you're too picky. They're just going to feel judged. And one question you had here that I want to address is if you were in a worse situation, would your friends and your mom be on your side? That is tough. What does being on your side mean to you? And I can sense a little bit of anxiety here, kind of between the lines of this what if type of question. What if you were in a worse situation? How would your friends and your mom react? If this keeps you up at night, I suggest reflecting on this. And this could even be an opportunity for you to address these feelings of doubt with these people in your life. You can say, hey, when I told you about these gross comments that my date made and you told me to brush it off, I felt like you weren't on my side and that scared me. Do this conversation in person. Like, see how they reply. Do they hear you out? Can they see their point of view or do they just defend their position? When you share this stuff, you're giving someone a chance to be a better friend to you in the future and understand you more, or you're giving them a chance to double down on their position, which shows you the type of friend they are and where their priorities lie. So, okay, if you are the friend listener that your friends are coming to for dating advice or feedback, or like they just want to share their dating experiences with you, here is my tip. Listen and ask questions. Don't give advice unless they explicitly be like, what do you think I should do? Always empower them to trust themselves and make their own decisions. I know it can be hard to watch a friend make the same mistakes over and over, but everyone learns this stuff in their own time. I can only imagine how my friends felt for years when I was struggling in my last relationship and they all saw how unhappy it made me, but I just couldn't see it. Eventually, they got through to me, I guess. Anyway, my advice is to ask questions like, how did it feel when they did that? Or what do you want in the situation? What can you do to get there? What do you want to feel? Why was that a red flag to you? These kinds of questions allow you to be off the hook from giving advice while still supporting and helping your friends who are dating. All right, so that's all I have for you this week. If you have a dating dilemma and you want to submit it, you can go through the link in the show notes. And remember, when you share your dilemma, you are helping other people feel less alone. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who has shared. And I just appreciate your vulnerability. And I also want to thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget, you are doing great. I love it if you share this episode with someone who is navigating dating and might need a little confidence boost or some tough love. If any of these episodes have helped you in your journey, you can help me by leaving a stunning review on Apple or giving Dating Intentionally 5 stars on Spotify. I'd really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Talia. This has been Dating Intentionally, and I hope you have a great weekend.